Hi there, welcome back to the Quality Connect YouTube channel. My name is Trevor, and this is Andrew Wellwood, the founder of Quality Connect. And today we're going to be talking about questions to ask your general contractor before hiring. Red Adair, specialized in extinguishing and capping of oil well fires, he said, if you think it's expensive to hire a professional to do the job, wait until you hire an amateur. Nothing true can be said about that. The construction industry accounts for 7% of gross domestic product when considering its impact on all economic sectors, and it maintains and repairs nearly 2.7 trillion in assets. And that's from Buildforce Canada. That's a lot of money that the construction industry is responsible for.
Yeah, well, if you've ever driven around Edmonton, you've seen it in full effect year round, winter, summer, doesn't matter. Everyone's building, renovating, and doing some type of construction.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll just ask a bunch of questions and have you answer them as best you can.
Yeah.
And let's see what we can do about what questions you should ask your general contractor. Okay, so question number one, Andrew, is do you have prior experience with these types of projects? So why is that a good question to ask?
Well, all these questions, first off, are good to ask any general contractor, whether they're building a fence for you, building a house for you, garage, finishing your basement. These are all good questions to ask in general. But what kind of prior experience do you have in this project is extremely relevant. You want to know, is this the first house they've built? Is this the first deck or fence they've built? You know, have they done it before? Everybody has to start somewhere, so this might be their first one out on their own. They might have done it for someone or under a different, under a company or under someone else, which doesn't mean that they aren't experienced in doing it. It just means they aren't experienced in doing it on their own. So there will be some learning curves that you might have to work through. They might be small. You might not even notice them as the homeowner.
Okay. So question number two is, do you have a licensing, insurance, and bonds?
Yes. It doesn't matter if it's their first project or it's their 200th. They need to have all the proper licensing, insurance. They need to be bondable if they're coming into your house. These are things that you need to know. Certain things, certain times you don't need to. You know, are they bondable? Do they need to come into their house? Mm-hmm. Are they building a fence outside? That's fine. They don't need access to your house. You don't need to worry about them, you know, rummaging through and stealing underwear out of your underwear drawer. You know, they're outside. They don't need access into the house. They can plug into the power outlets outside. They can talk to you if they trip a breaker. You know, they've got the hose out there for their concrete. They don't need to come inside of the house. So some of these questions you don't need to. But if it's someone renovating your house and you're going to leave them in your house full time, oh yeah.
Absolutely. So question number three would be, how do you manage scheduling? Why is that important to have them to find that out from a general?
Well, scheduling is if you're going to make your project on time. That's extremely important. And it's it's how many people are going to be in your house at a time. How many people are going to be working on the project at a time? You know, are you going to be overlapping people? Are you going to try and push the schedule to get, you know, plumbers, HVAC, and electricians all working at the same time, stuff like that. It's good to know, and it's a question that your general contractor should be able to answer. Everyone manages a project differently, but when you ask them how they schedule, they shouldn't struggle to answer that. That should be how they manage. Everyone manages differently, but you have to manage the project. You can't just go, yeah, well, we'll just kind of see how it goes. No. What is your scheduling? How are you? You know, what is the order that you're getting the trades in?
Yeah, and it's good because then the homeowner can expect to see, you know, progress and when things are happening and how they're happening and all that.
Yeah.
Just so they can plan their life.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Now, another question that we should ask a general contractor before hiring is, what is your estimated timeline?
Well, timelines are very important to hit.
Huge, right?
It's every project has a different timeline. Every project will take a different amount of time. Do projects go over on their time? Absolutely. Very few of them obviously come in under timeline, but you should know what to expect. Is this a 3-month project? Is this a 6-month project? Is this a year? Is this a week? What is the estimated timeline? And that all goes back to scheduling. How long is each trade going to be in? What's the timeline for each one? If I'm doing a reno, at what point am I going to have the drywallers in there sanding while we're living? When am I going to lose access to my kitchen? How long am I going to lose access to my kitchen? How long is the water going to be off? How long is the power going to be off? Stuff like this that you need to be able to communicate back and forth with your general, and they should know roughly when it's going to happen and approximately how long each stage is going to take.
Fantastic. Now, one more question. I think this is question number 5. How do you handle change orders and disputes? That's a good one.
There are always changes to a project. Unless you're doing a cookie cutter spec house, I don't think I've done a house that hasn't had some kind of changes, including my own. There's always changes as you go through. What items look like on a blueprint or on paper, when it comes through in person, it looks different, and that's just the way it is. I have a great eye at seeing how things are going to look from paper to reality, and even I am taken back when we design something, we build it, and you look through and you're like, yeah, I would change it too. But how you manage them, you need to get it in writing. Everything needs to be done in writing. Whether it's a text or an email or it's an official change order that's printed up, signed with a dollar amount on it. How you handle the change order should be clear and concise prior to construction. Anything large, you're going to want to discuss this, timeline, budget, and what it's going to do, because changes take time and changes cost money. So it is going to push your timeline back, and some of it will cost you a little bit of money. So some things are easier to do than others, and as long as you're straightforward ahead of time before any work happens, that's where you basically eliminate the need for disputes. It's at the end of the job when the bill comes in and it's 25% higher than you were expecting. That's when you start getting disputes. Well, I didn't know that change was going to cost this, or I didn't know this change was going to cost this. Those are items that need to be addressed prior to doing any of the changes, so that when the bill comes in at the end, it's exactly what's expected from both parties.
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
Good sense. Now, the last and final question we have here, number 6. How much of a down payment is required? That's an important question to ask.
Down payments are a tricky thing. That's where a lot of people are very nervous, because that's where you hear a lot of the scams happening, is people collecting down payments from a whole bunch of different projects, and then they're gone. Never to be seen again. So people are very hesitant on down payments. And it works the other way when you're a contractor. You don't want to invest a bunch of time and money onto a project only to find out that the customer bails out and you're stuck with $400, $7,000 worth of import tile that you are now storing in your garage in the hopes that some client somewhere down the future really likes this Italian green tile that you've now stored for decades. So how much of a down payment is required? That's going to be determined a lot on the project. As you should probably get multiple quotes from multiple different contractors prior to doing any job, is talk to them, find out what they require, why they require that down payment. Is it for their time? I require a down payment when we manage a project, just because to get the project to start through blueprinting, engineering, permitting, development, demolition permits, quoting all the project, that's a lot of time on my end that I'm not really willing to do for free.
Right.
It's a lot on my end to take the job to the start. Just to have someone go, thank you for all of the work, we can take it from here. And then again, on the other side, when it comes to framing, I don't require anything for a down payment, because I'm not supplying anything. I'm not supplying lumber. I'm supplying some nails and some labor, and that's it. And I don't require a down payment for anything like that. So, anywhere in between will require anything else or anything different for a down payment. So that's something you should talk about with your general contractor. Find out how much they require, why they require it, and get a few different bids. If one person's out to lunch, then they're out to lunch. And don't ever pay in full up front.
No.
Don't ever do that. No legitimate business owner in the construction world needs 100% of their project paid for upfront.
So thank you so much, Andrew. That's going to help out a lot of people with their building projects and how to select a general contractor. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to go to QualityConnect.ca if you have any kind of a project. It can be a renovation project, a new build, or a commercial project. And you can get all of your bids taken care of there. You can manage and begin your project off on the right foot using QualityConnect.ca. And we will catch you next time.